Okay, so sleep and wake cycles, you guys. Babies go in deep sleep. They can be in light sleep. Here, this one's in deep sleep. This guy right here is in light sleep. This one's drowsy, you see him yawning. And this one's quiet, alert. Okay, so if I held a gun on you right now, what are you going to secrete? Epi, norepi, cortisol, adrenaline, right, you guys? So what is going to happen to your ability to be alert? Increase. You're going to be hyper aware. Tell me about how efficiently you're going to burn glucose so you can escape me. Very fast. Very fast. So you guys, the babies go through the same thing. So the first period of reactivity, they're bright, they're awake, they're alert, and you want to put them on the breast, okay? Because what's going to happen when the police arrest me and we all go home, you're going to crash. And that's exactly what this baby does. So you guys, the first period of reactivity, they have decreased body temperature because they just went from a 99-degree hot tub down to 75. Increased heart rate, 160 to 180, because they're trying to regulate all those changes in the heart that we just talked about. Irregular respiration, 60 to 80. You might hear rails, grunting, flaring, because how much fluid did they push out with the vaginal squeeze? 2/3. So we still have the remaining 1/3 of the fluid. So you guys, we got to get that out. What about the poor C-section baby? None of it. So dude, this poor kid is having a much harder time, and that's why we have to keep really close care on them. Bowel sounds may be audible, and they have alert behavior marked by startle reactions, gestatory movements, tremors, and crying. So you guys, they can see a little bit. They don't really, you can't really test a kid until they're 6 years old, right, Judy? 6 for perfect eyesight for eyesight, 6 years old. Yeah, so, they have pearl. They really don't have accommodation until 3 months. They can see a little bit. It's a little bit blackish, whitish, because the cones and rods are still doing their thing. Response to environmental stimuli, temperature, habituation, how comfortable they get in their environment. That's the smell. Consolability. You guys, you can't spoil a baby. You'll be in the, you'll be working with families, and the families will say, don't pick it up. You're going to spoil it. You cannot spoil a baby. It's telling you, it's communicating to you that there is something wrong. It could be abdominal pain that you can't see. It could be a urine. It could be hungry. It could be many, many things. But you can't technically spoil a baby. That's their only method of what? Communication. Cuddliness, irritability, and crying. What's weird is us who work in labor and delivery, I love to hear babies cry. Do you know why? The lungs are good. Like, life is grand. Like, everything's okay. When we're in the delivery room and there's not a lot of crying, it's very stressful. Like, I'm like, come on, cry. Because we know that everything's okay. Some babies come out and they're just not big criers, so that can be a little stressful. Here's this guy. What reflex is that? On my grass, yeah. So now you guys, of course, the baby's going to crash. Deep period of decreased responsiveness, 60 minutes to 100 minutes, 100 minutes, 100 minutes of age, 100 minutes, sorry bros. Marked decrease in activity, sleep, is not responsive to environment, shallow synchronous breathing, excellent color, heart rate slow, spontaneous jerks. And so you guys, it can be like, moms put all their merit in this delivery and this breastfeeding experience. Like, they just dream, and they have this fantasy. So we have to do everything we can to try, and we want the baby to breastfeed early, right? We want there to be demand, so there'll be supply. So you guys, if you don't get them on quickly and you wait, it's going to be a couple hours before we can get them on again. It's the second period of reactivity, 2 to 8 hours. So there's your 2 8 hours. Tachycardia, they're going to be coughing up that residual 1/3 of fluid volume, gagging, passage of meconium, more responsive to exogenous and endogenous stimuli, and the heart rate is labile. Thermoregulation, Brittany taught you this. What is this? Is it the best? Yes. This is the best. If we can't do this, what can we do? Put them under the warmer. And of course, wrapping, keeping them warm is great too. It's because they have an immature hypothalamus. You guys, after a week, their hypothalamus is pretty good. You dress them the way you would dress, okay? Because we see people out in public and they've got this big suit on the baby in the middle of the winter, and they're like, they said to keep the baby warm. Like, you're going to hate the baby. Less insulation, less sub-Q fat, and they have non-shivering thermogenesis. Non-shivering thermogenesis. So they don't shiver to make themselves warm. They utilize brown fat. So you guys, brown fat is unique to the newborn. This is a newborn. They have this by their scapula and usually behind their sternum. They have brown fat. You guys, you made brown fat in the 3rd trimester. So if you made brown fat in the 3rd trimester, what is the 3rd trimester? What weeks? 26 to 40, right? So if you make it in the 3rd trimester, if you have the baby in the 2nd trimester, does it have brown fat? No. So they use brown fat to raise their temperature for heat, okay? So why do you think when you go into the NICU, there are all these boxes around? Those are rooms. Those are patient rooms. And those rooms are 90 degrees in there because they don't have brown fat to what? Raise their temperature, right, you guys? So when people think this isolate is this magical box of healing. No, it's a patient room. That's it. And we don't want to be in 90-degree heat, right? So we just put them in their little tiny room in 90-degree heat. Do you guys see that? So brown fat is unique to the newborn, has a richer vascular and nerve supply than ordinary. Present for several weeks after birth, and it's depleted with cold stress. So you guys, brown fat is our best pal. This is why preterm babies scare us and low birth weight babies scare us, because they don't have brown fat. So say for instance, they got cold, guess what? Their sugar's going to plummet because they use this same stuff to do what? Regulate their sugar and regulate their temperature. When you go into respiratory distress, you make extra acid, and when you make extra acid, you're acidotic, and then you're going to burn glucose stores as well. So that's what I call the triad of doom. This is a JBT-ism, that if you get cold stress, what do you use to warm yourself up if you're cold? Brown fat. If you get cold stress, that can drop your glucose. Okay? Oh. That can drop your glucose. If your glucose is low, that can put you into cold stress. If you're working hard, and if you're in respiratory distress, and you're working, what do you do when you work? Tell me what you do when you work. You burn glucose. So if you're working hard and you're in respiratory distress, that can cause you to be hypoglycemic, right? If you're in respiratory distress and we're burning glucose, that can put you into cold stress. So what is hypoglycemia in a baby? Okay, so here's the thing, you guys. It depends on the level of the facility you're in. If you're in a high-risk facility, they're going to say 50 or greater. If you're in a birthing center, they might say 35. But 45 is the national average of what NCLEX uses. So if it's under 45, we have problems. If we have grunting, retractions, or nasal flaring over here, we're in trouble. And if we have an axillary temp of less than what? 97.7 or 97.8, we're going to double wrap our baby, then take a rectal temperature and see if it's what it is. And we may have to go take the baby and put it under the warmer to stop these two. So if you get one of these, you assess for these two, right? How do you assess this one? You can physically look, right? But what else can you throw on them? Whole socks, you guys. Listen and auscultate the lungs. Look at them. Is everybody good? Okay, but here's the thing, you guys. Once you burn the brown fat, you don't get it back. But they do say, it's very fascinating, that people who have a hypothermic episode, like somebody fell into a lake in Michigan and was in there for 40 minutes, they say the brown fat's what saved them. Isn't that crazy? Sorry. So cold stress on the newborn, what does it do? It makes you have increased O2 consumption. That can lead you into what, you guys? Respiratory distress. Increased glucose utilization, that can lead you into, and then acid production, that can lead you into respiratory distress. Do you guys see that? So increased oxygen consumption leads to hypoxia and impaired cellular function if not corrected. Increased glucose consumption leads to hypoglycemia. Then you're going to start to get peripheral vasoconstriction. So see how these hands and feet are blue? So you guys, we're really strict. Like when we go out to clinic and we're in the hospital, so I'm like, dudes, this baby bath is going to be rapid. It's going to be a minute. And you're like, oh, I can't do that. It's a delicate little baby. And I'm like, yeah, dude, we have to do that because if you take too much time with your delicate little baby, we're just washing off biohazard, you're going to get a cold baby and we're going to have to do all this and the nurse is going to be like scared kitty on you. Okay? So we give a 1 minute bath. It's quick, we're wiping off the biohazards with a little bit of soap and water, wrap the baby up and we're good to go. So acrocyanosis, while it can be normal, it will continue if the baby is cold. Okay? It will shunt away. So, the effect of cold stress, metabolic acidosis, we've talked about this, decreased surfactant, pulmonary vasoconstriction, increased consumption of glucose, and breakdown of glycogen stores, and hypoglycemia. So how does a baby get cold? Number one, convection. That is heat lost in the environment as air moves away from it. So what is the practical application of keeping your baby warm and away from a convective source? Swaddle them, but where are we going to place them? Away from the air conditioner vent, right? Is there air conditioner vent in the newborn nursery? Yes. Do we want the air to blow over the baby? No. So, loss of heat via convection would be keep them away from a nursery vent. Radiation, that's the transfer of two objects. We're going to pretend like this is a glass and we're in Alaska, okay? And so I'm standing here and this room is heated. Here's the glass and on the other side is 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Is this glass going to be cold? Yes, but I'm not touching it. But look, I'm standing beside it. So this cold from this is going to make me cold. That's where there's not two objects touching. And so, but you can still lose heat from being too close. So that would be radiation. Tell me a practical example in the nursery that you would lose heat via radiation. Where do we put the babies? In the baby bed. Well, we'll talk about the scale in a second, but we put them in a baby bed, and what is around the baby bed? Glass rails or plastic. They're actually plastic rails. So they can be, if you put a baby in a cold baby bed, those plastic rails are how many degrees? 75, 72 degrees, whatever the degrees are in here. And that can lower the temperature of the baby. So the nursing intervention would be always keep the baby's beds warmed prior to putting them in the bed so they don't lose heat via radiation. People always go, why are all these beds on? I'm like, dude, we're going to get an admission sometime. We got to, make sure it's ready to go for our baby. Conduction, so that's when two sources touch. So if we lay our baby on a cold surface, so tell me, many times, what would it be, the cold surface we would lay our baby on? Scale. Scale. So what can we do to prevent cold loss via conduction at the hospital? Put up a blanket, and re-zero, absolutely. And then evaporation. This one is my favorite because when you go to Disney, I'm going this weekend for 3 days. What? Okay. There's a fan that blows on you, and there's a little water mist, right? That cools you down via two things: convection, which is what? Wind blowing over you, and evaporation. It's so funny how I teach my kid. It's embarrassing. I'm teaching my kid, nursery principles. Oh, look at that. That's a nursery principle. She's like, you're such a nerd. Anyway, so Disney blows that cold water on you and it cools you down, right? Via those two ways, evaporation and convection. How we lose heat via convection in the delivery room is this baby comes out. It goes from 99 degrees to 72, 75. And if you leave it laying there without drying it off because it's wet, the temperature's going to go down. So what do we do? The baby comes out. This is nursing responsibilities. The baby comes out. It's our responsibility to suction the baby. Many times the provider, whoever's doing the delivery, they will suction it for us. But listen, that is a nurse action. I never want you to feel like that's the provider's sole responsibility, because it's not. So you suction the baby, and then what do you do quickly? You dry them off. But the second part of that is you've got. You guys want to lay around in a wet towel at the beach? No. So you take that linen off, discard it, and put a what? New blanket on. New blanket on, because it's dry now, right? Everybody get me? This is the triad of doom, way explained. I just try to make things simplistic for you, and so I took this thing, and just threw. Okay, thank you. Okay, okay. This is the same thing. Okay, and that's it. Oh yeah, we make sure our baby should be warm and dressed and wrapped. Oh, look, you guys. Here are the glass. See these? How could you lose heat here via radiation? Okay, and here's our wrapping. Did you guys all do that with Brittany? So here we go. The baby comes out. We're going to suction. Here's the nurse. Dry the baby and skin to skin. Let me finish these key points. Any serum bilirubin level greater than 5 in the first day of life is not good. Loss of heat in the newborn may result in acidosis, increase the level of free fatty acid, leading to cold stress. The end. Thank you.